Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst. Now, before I get into today's topic of head coaching candidates, I would recommend you guys to go in the settings bar here, turn up the speed to 1.5 times. I think if you put it up there, videos like this, whether it's me or Clay Travis or any political person out there, they're just way better if you speed it up. I think that you get to it quicker, but definitely I find the experience better if you speed it up. So I'd recommend hit it to 1.5 around there. You can play with it, but you'll thank me for it. So today's topic, head coaching candidates. Here we are in 2020 NFL season. Every year we have coaching changes. We have guys getting fired, guys getting hired. So let's keep an eye on some of these top candidates throughout the season. And these are guys that I think will be good head coaching candidates for the 2021 season. So let's get right into it. Top candidate in the NFL has to be Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. If you go back and look on our page, I went into it before in the video on racism in the NFL. Eric Bieniemy is far more qualified than other guys who've gotten head coaching jobs. He's done an amazing job with the Chiefs. Far more qualified than, say, Matt Rule, who the Panthers hired to be their head coach coming out of Baylor. Bieniemy's done a great job with Pat Mahomes and all those receivers, keeping them engaged, keeping guys contributing as team members, even though one guy isn't necessarily always featured. That's a challenge to keep that focus on the team. And he's done a great job with that, and we've seen success with Andy Reid disciples moving on elsewhere and doing well. So Eric Bieniemy has to be a head coach next year, in my opinion. If he isn't, there's something extremely wrong in the NFL, and I think he's the top candidate in the league. Now, after him, I think you look at the Baltimore Ravens, both of their coordinators, Greg Roman. He's done a great job with Lamar Jackson. Wink Martindale has done an awesome job with that defense. I think Roman, when you see how he really adheres his system to the strengths of his players, that's a sign of an excellent coach, a guy who doesn't force players into running his system. He adapts his system to their strengths and helps them to be the best players they can be and accentuate what they do well and not force them into running something that really doesn't fit them. I think we see it every year in the NFL draft and players who don't pan out in parks. This is a 3-4 guy who gets drafted into a 4-3 and vice versa. So Roman is awesome at that. He adapts his system to his players. I think he'd be a great head coaching hire. And I think Martindale as well. He's done a phenomenal job with the Ravens defense. Guys coming in and out, and they just keep on moving along with one of the top defenses in the league. So I think both of those guys would be really good hires. I think Leslie Frazier, the Bills defensive coordinator, would be an excellent hire. He's done a great job in Buffalo. They have a phenomenal defense that really, while they might not rack up huge numbers in terms of sacks and interceptions, they keep the scoring down, which at the end of the day is the most important. So I think that they've just done a great job in Buffalo. I think he'd be an excellent hire. And now I know what some people are going to say is, oh, well, he already was a head coach with the Vikings and, retread head coaches, let's go with someone new. But I don't agree with that, and I'll explain here in a minute. But some other top candidates that I think in terms of the retread guys would be Rahim Morris, the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator. He was on the offensive side. He was a defensive coach his whole career, moved to the offensive side in the Super Bowl year with Atlanta because the previous year there was a real problem in that locker room with Kyle Shanahan and the players. Rahim Morris, he and Kyle Shanahan came up together in the coaching ranks, were good friends, and Rahim Morris is great with players. So Dan Quinn moved him to the offensive side of the ball, had him working with the receivers, and Rahim Morris was that kind of buffer between the offensive players and Kyle Shanahan. And what happens, they have an amazing season, go to the Super Bowl, probably should have won that Super Bowl. Now he's back on the defensive side as defensive coordinator. They don't have great talent on that side of the ball, so I wouldn't expect him to put up great numbers with that defense, but he does a great job with what he has. Players love him, great communicator, and he's super smart. And hey, he won 10 games with Josh Freeman and a very talentless team in Tampa Bay, very depleted roster at that point. He won 10 games in 2010 as a head coach. So I think he deserves another shot. I think Vance Joseph really didn't get a quality shot in Denver. I think John Elway kind of made up his mind against him pretty early going, and the quarterback situation there was always a mess. So I think Vance Joseph is a really good coach. I've heard a lot of people say that around the league. A lot of scouts and others think highly of him. So I think he should get another shot. And I think Jason Garrett, you look at his success record, his winning percentage with the Cowboys was pretty good. And I think that he could be worthy of getting another shot here somewhere. But now, I know you're probably thinking, oh, Garrett, he had his chance. Let's not do a retread guy. Well, I disagree. And now let's look at the history of the NFL. Since 2000, we've had 21 Super Bowls, okay? 8 of the head coaches that won the Super Bowl were on their second team. So they had already been fired from somewhere. They go to somewhere else and they find more success. You know, that to me is really significant. 8 of the 21 Super Bowls have been won by a coach on his second team here since 2000. 7 first team guys. But let's look at the guys with their second team. You have Dick Vermeil with the Eagles and Rams, Bill Belichick having been with the Browns and then the Patriots. Pete Carroll was on his third team. He had been head coach at the Jets and Patriots before the Seahawks. Tom Coughlin being with the Jaguars before winning 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. John Gruden, Raiders to the Bucks. Tony Dungy, Bucks to the Colts. Gary Kubiak, Texans to the Broncos. And then Andy Reid, Eagles to the Chiefs. I mean, these are some Hall of Fame coaches here. This is just a great track record of coaches having more success on that second job than the first one. And I think that is really significant when it comes to considering guys like Leslie Frazier, Rahim Morris, Vance Joseph, Jason Garrett. So I would definitely be interested in those candidates, just even though it didn't work out for them at the first spot. Ask New England about Bill Belichick. Ask the Giants about the Tom Coughlin era. I mean, 2 Super Bowls, that's phenomenal. Gruden, you know, his situation was a little different where he was traded and not fired. All the rest of those guys had been fired by their teams before getting that second shot at it and making the most of it. So the track record says it, and I think as we all know in life, you know, we all learn through experience. So they went through it once before. Like a young quarterback, it takes some time to mature. And, you know, Pat Mahomes wins the Super Bowl in his 3rd season. He lost in the playoffs the year before. Takes time to learn in the league. So I think that these guys could be really good candidates even though they've been fired previously. So those are some top head coaching candidates for us to keep an eye on this season. Do me a favor. Follow us on Twitter at Draft Campbell, at Walter Football. Check out our mocks. I have links below for mocks, prospect rankings. Please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with you soon.